นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังอนุตตรังอุปัชฌายังนัมมาสสามิ Today on this auspicious occasion, the marriage of Tom and On, I've been invited to offer a blessing to you both and to say a few words, particularly words of wisdom from the Buddha, words of advice, things that may help you to be happy in your married life together. Sometimes in the presentations of Buddhism that you find in books, it can seem a rather austere, forbidding kind of teaching, and perhaps one suited most to those living the monastic life. But in fact, the Buddha's teachings are very rich, varied, and in the 45 years of his teaching career, the Buddha gave teachings on many different levels and to many different groups of people. And he gave much advice to householders, people without a monastic vocation, but wishing to find some way to reduce and to eliminate the suffering in their lives and to maximize the amount of happiness in their life. So this respect, Buddhism is somewhat different from the religions that grew up in the Middle East, particularly Judaism, Christianity, Islam, which are predominantly belief systems in which the predominant virtue that is stressed is that of faith, to the extent that we often refer to those religions as the great faiths. And Buddhism is a different kind of religion. Rather than a belief system, I could like to characterize it as an education system. So it's very much concerned with the present life, how we live our life, how we relate to the world we live in, how we relate to the people around us in the society, how we use our minds in particular, because in the ultimate resort, the prime determinant of whether or not we experience happiness or suffering in our lives is the way we look at the world and the extent to which we have trained and educated our thoughts and feelings. In married life, we have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to help each other on this path of education that the Buddha laid down. It means helping each other to reduce the amount of greed and selfishness and anger and anxiety and fear and all those negative factors which cloud our minds from time to time, and also to encourage in each other all the positive and wholesome, beautiful qualities of integrity, sincerity, kindness, generosity, patience, contentment, peace, and so on. And this is a very challenging task in our life, and one that, although we have to do it ourselves in the last resort, then it's wonderful to have someone who we really trust implicitly, who we can listen to and can learn from when they give us advice, we can be sure that there's no ulterior motive, nothing but the very purest wish for our own welfare. And so as we all have blind spots, and we're all quite adept at fooling ourselves about various things from time to time, in spiritual life, to have such a close friend is a wonderful thing. And so in Buddhism, the ideal being propounded is that the married couple should also be the best of friends and best of spiritual friends, as well as being friends and loving each other in the normal worldly way. A successful marriage, according to the Buddha, is one which is based on a firm sense of trust, and that trust is created and sustained by a common or shared in Buddhism. Morality is not considered to be something imposed upon us from above and not backed up with rewards or threats, but is considered to be the intelligent way of ordering human affairs. That if we take advantage of our innate capacity to refrain from things we consider to be harmful to ourselves and others, then we can create a sense of safety and stability in our lives. We, all of us, will have times when we feel angry, aggressive, hurt, when we feel jealous, when we feel selfish, and so on. And these are thoughts that arise and pass away and can't be forbidden. If we try to forbid ourselves from feeling in certain ways that we think are objectionable, then we'll get very tense and upset, because it's not possible to do that. But what we can do is saying, I have certain standards of conduct. I will not act in certain ways. I will not speak in certain ways, no matter how strong the desire might be to do so. That is something which is definitely workable. So if a married couple make this shared commitment to precepts or shared code of conduct, then this is the basis for this trust which will support a long and happy relationship. Buddhism, we talk about making a shared commitment to non-harming, not taking life, not hurting, to not stealing, not taking what's not given. We take a shared commitment to fidelity to each other, a shared commitment to speaking the truth, refraining from lying and deceiving each other, and a shared commitment to refraining from alcohol and drugs which cloud our mindfulness, our sense of judgment, can easily lead us to say and do things which normally we wouldn't do, and which are not true to how we really feel and how we would truly like to conduct ourselves. So if a married couple will see the value of those precepts and take them on together, then this sense of trust arises in a very tangible way. It's not, as I say, of course possible to wish these negative states of mind away. You can't get rid of them through an act of will, something a more systematic and profound system of practice is called for. But we do have this ability not to do certain things even though we want to do them. And this is a wonderful stability. For instance, once you're married, it's not, at least after a certain period of time, that the husband thinks that the wife is the only beautiful woman in the world, or the wife thinks that the husband's the only handsome person in the world, and you can see other people and still find them physically attractive. But once that commitment to marriage has been made, then those thoughts of liking and attraction are just thoughts that arise and pass away. You don't take them seriously. There's not a movement towards them or an indulgence in them anymore, and certainly there's no acting upon them. And so we can have this sense of stability in a relationship, that we know that even if our partner may have some passing attraction for other people, they will never act upon them. And this is something that gives us a real sense of peace and contentment in our relationship. Of course, living together is not easy at all, and once one lives together, then various little habits and idiosyncrasies that perhaps we're willing to overlook when we were first in love become more apparent and can very easily become a source of irritation or even conflict. So there also needs to be this willingness to compromise, to adapt, to be tolerant, and to be patient with each other. And this sense of mutual respect, that each one of us has our own path in life, and that we're seeking to support each other in all that is good and kind and wholesome, is something which will enable a couple to move together over a number of years rather than gradually to move apart. A shared commitment to some form of spiritual training is, I think, a wonderful thing in a marriage. To have certain periods of time where you can sit quietly and to meditate together, and to be together without having to talk, without having even to think, can create a wonderful and profound bond between a married couple. Sometimes a lot of things that come up that can talk through and talk and just seem to go round in circles, but can just sit quietly, then the basic underlying warmth and love can come to the surface through the silence rather than through so many words. Living together, we have to be wise and sensitive to each other, sensitive, for instance, to time and place, being able to stand back from our own needs, our own desires, and to be aware of the needs and desires of each other. That in itself is a spiritual practice of great power. When there are times when you're feeling dissatisfied or upset about something, then that's the time just to be calm and cool, and just to wait until your mind is settled down, you feel calmer, or the other person feels calm before bringing up the difficult matter. This sensitivity to time and place can save an awful lot of unnecessary argument, sometimes merely through saying things that should be said at the wrong time. Means that they can't be brought up and dealt with in the right time. That when we speak in the wrong time, the other person is much more affected by our mood than the content of what we're trying to communicate. So this ability to be mindful and to be aware of your own state of mind, and to be mindful and aware of your spouse's state of mind, is something which creates more and more harmony and a sense of being on the same wavelength. Certainly when couples are first together, that sense of being on the same wavelength tends to be there naturally, but it's not something you can take for granted, and it can slip out of each other's wavelength without really quite realizing how, why. So there's always work to be done in a relationship. It's not in fairy tales and in books and plays and so on, then the marriage is like the last scene, and then they live happily ever after. But in real life, that's when the work really starts to begin, and there'll be good times and there'll be bad times, and being able to maintain that sense of commitment and kindness and respect and generosity, despite whatever might be the passing mood. And it's that kind of enduring commitment which can create a spiritual friendship which can last through a whole lifetime. That as an institution, marriage has been going through quite a difficult time for the past many years now, and often it's a product of this desire for the perfect relationship and for things to be a particular way, and then when they don't work out the way that one wants them to work out or imagines that they work out, then being dissatisfied and looking for something else. But with the wise couple who begin with this sense of commitment, come what may, and being willing to work upon oneself and work upon the negativities that lie within our own hearts, and helping each other to abandon them, and recognizing the good qualities within ourselves and our spouse, and making that part of our life's work together to increase those beautiful qualities as best we can. I think this gives a direction to married life over and above the direction given to it by the careers of each person or even the raising of children. So making one's living and pursuing one's career and perhaps raising a family, these are challenges that lay ahead, but what gives them the context and which gives them some true enduring meaning and purpose is this spiritual quest for wisdom, for compassion, for inner peace, which is the highest kind of quest, and that a human being can embark upon, and one in which, fortunately as Buddhists, we have many wise teachings and skillful means which enable us to pursue this path and to realize more and more the fruits of it. So I wish your married life to be a very happy one, and may you both be in good health and to live together with mutual forgiveness for each other's faults, mutual appreciation for each other's good points, and may you live together in peace and with contentment and kindness, respect. May you be successful both in the worldly and the spiritual realms. So it's a blessing.